There we go. How's that? Now you can hear me. I can't hear anything other than my tinnitus. Dylan, I can't actually hear you. You're not coming through on my stream. You can hear me? Yeah? Oh, I just can't hear you. So let me check my settings. This stuff is usually taken care of. Speakers, yeah. No, I got everything. Everything's working for me. Oh, for crying out loud. And then there was sound. Can everyone else hear Dylan? Dylan, no one else can hear Dylan. Okay. So, let me just go through. Dylan, send me a link for whatchamacallit. You know the thing. Send me a link for Clean Feed, man. Come on. Yeah, we're getting on the sound, guys. Oh, you can't hear me? Link for what is it? For I always forget the frickin' name of it. Clean Feed. There. Link for Clean Feed. There we go. Okay, all right. Now we're getting somewhere. Stay tuned, guys. It gets better than this. All right. Open that. Hello. Dylan. Copy link. A pain in the butt. This is what happens when you hurry up and you try to get the stream going early. Is all this stuff happens. There you go. Can you hear me now? Dylan? Still nothing. Oh my God. Go on a second. Headphones. Check your system settings. I can see you. Oh my God. I'm getting there. Volume mixer. Google Chrome. There. Yeah, I still can't. Oh my God. Urgh. Okay. Why is this causing me problems? Desktop audio properties, Streamer X. Okay. I think maybe it might be the Streamer X. All right. I'm going to leave this open for a second. I'm not quitting I'm just going to plug in a different interface. I don't know what's going on. The worst part is I've got to find the camera input. All right, 1 second. Contacts. I'm calling you, Dylan.
My levels are going up, man.
I don't understand what's going on, buddy. This is driving me insane.
It's not me, because I'm seeing Clean Feed and my levels are
No, I know. I think my computer needs to be rebooted, so I'm gonna do that, and then the feed will just kick back in. So, just so you know, I'm rebooting. We will be right back after these messages. I'll stay on with you, man. What the hell is going on? All right, we should be coming back anytime now.
Coming back. Hopefully they can hear me now. Still twirling.
Yeah,
Still twirling away.
I'm seeing it.
Mm.
It's funny, you're coming through my mic.
Nice.
So, hey guys, 4 viewers left. Love it.
Just gonna hit live. There we go. Yeah, we're back.
All right. Audio and video. Now, the question is, do you hear an echo for Dylan?
Echo, Jackie, 1 2, Jackie 7 8. No. No. Hello.
You still hear an echo, eh, Dylan?
No, I don't. I'm good now.
Oh, you don't have an echo. Oh, for crying out loud. I'm sitting here trying to diagnose an echo, and Dylan's like, "No, we're fine."
No, like it just stopped. Like whatever the last thing that you did is, it stopped.
It's because we went live. It must have. Yeah, it
You must have done something.
for crying out loud. Sounds a bit
Crying
hot.
out loud, bud.
Okay, we'll bring that down. We're going through the same channel because I'm a streamer extraordinaire, and I totally know what I'm doing. I 100% know what I'm doing. Streamer extraordinaire. All right,
Nice.
so just anybody refresh stream. We are back live.
Come
Oh my
on
god! Oh my god! What a ridiculous.
What a roller coaster. or what did I say? A farce from hell.
Farce from hell. Yeah, that's about right. So this is the this is Dylan. You can't see. This is the Rodecaster Duo. It is the cutest little interface I've ever used or had. It's adorable. It's literally adorable. I'm so used to the chonk of the Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cute little fella.
Walter says that thing looks so cute. LOL. Yes, it is. And it's, yeah, I'm going to save all of opinions and stuff. There is some new stuff here. It's not mind-blowing, but there's some new stuff. There's some things that I wasn't expecting on this. Very, very mild, but at the same time, this thing's awesome. You're going to want to see the review coming up. And on top of that, you know the Mackie DLZ creator, Dylan? Have you heard of that?
Mackie DLZ creator.
Yeah, it's the new Mackie board that they've released to compete with the Rodecaster Pro. It is literally a Rodecaster Pro. Well, it does everything, or it tries to do everything the Rodecaster Pro. I haven't reviewed it yet. I haven't sat down with it. It's on the way. It's supposed to be here by the end of the day.
It's the Rodecaster no.
Maccaster Pro.
Maccaster Pro.
I wonder what DLZ stands for. Anyways, yeah, the creator's on the way, so I'm finally going to be able to get hands-on with that. This is turning into be an insane couple weeks. There's some interesting news that I have. We're going to get into Dylan's story, because Dylan's playing injured, just so everyone knows. Johnny, I bought the Mackie a couple weeks ago and love it. We're going to review it. Yes, the review is going to be coming. Is this an interface and mixer combo? Yeah. The Rodecaster Duo, it's an interface, and it has multi-track functionality, and it is a mixer. So you can mix, and you can mix everything. You can route with it. You can do everything with this that you can do with the Rodecaster Pro 2. So there's a lot to be said about the Rodecaster Duo, but it's also kind of funny because doing the review for the Rodecaster Duo, a lot of it is repeating what I've already said about the Rodecaster Pro 2. Like, there's a lot. It's basically a pared down version with a few differences that are interesting. So definitely. Glad they brought back the TRS input back. It was stupid to take it away from the Rodecaster Pro 2. I don't think that's an input, TRS input. I believe this is a headphone jack. I don't believe this can be used as an input. I'll look into that. That could be part of the review. Who knows?
I know, I'm confused. 'Cause I'm just looking at the DLZ thing. So VLZ which was a product line for Mackie for a long time, like the VLZ3, the VLC4. The VLZ stood for very low impedance. So I'm thinking maybe the DLZ, maybe it's like DSLR, SLR. Maybe DLZ is like a digital version of the VLZ mixer. I
Low
don't know.
impedance. Yeah, that'd be weird though to bring that
Digitally low impedance.
in. The Mackie looks bigger, beefier. Heard great things about the auto mix, but on many of the videos, the massive screen looks laggy. Interesting. See, the thing about Mackie is they build great products. So they build great chassis. Dylan still uses an old Maxi mixer. Like
Yeah, an old VLZ3 actually.
they're built like tanks. Like you can run them over with a tank, and they're probably
And
still gonna be
they're
fine.
easy to repair. Like if you know how to replace basic, surface mount or not surface mount, but through hole mount components, they're easy to fix. If a channel goes out, like an alp amp blows or something, like easy.
I wonder if this is going to be the same because it looks very much like a Rodecaster Pro. A massive screen on it though. And this is an interesting take, that one that'll probably be part of the video, where there's not much to really upgrade on the Rodecaster Pro 2. The Rodecaster Pro 2 is so feature rich. It's going to be hard to one up that. Like the EIN is relatively low. Sure, you could probably knock a couple digits off the EIN, but from there, I mean, what else are you going to do? Yeah, better processing maybe. And I think Mackie went like, well, let's give them a bigger screen. That's what they need. The auto mix feature is interesting. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's fascinating to see, but it's also going to be even more fascinating to really break it down and compare. Because that's going to be the video, the DLZ Creator versus the Rodecaster Pro 2, to see how it lines up. But I also noticed it's $100 more than the Rodecaster Pro 2. So are you paying an extra $100 for a bigger screen? Like, Dylan, does that make sense to you?
Nope.
Like, no? The bigger UI doesn't interest you?
Well, it does, but not for that kind of like. Plus, I'm gonna go with the people that have been in the game for a while and know the market really, really well. You know, and so Rode obviously is that. So yeah, I feel like I do like, interface improvements. Like when Zoom moved away from the freaking monochrome stupidity of their smaller recorders, and they moved into like full color displays, touchscreen on the H8. Like I was like, oh yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do think interface improvements, because they speed up your workflow, which in turn gives you the ability to make more money faster. I mean, in a very philosophical sense.
Yeah.
So I think investing in something that's got a good workflow, that's got a really robust user experience, a UX, that's important. Those are important things to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to be curious, like Blossom V. By the way, welcome everybody that's new to the live stream. I'm seeing a lot of names here that I have. Blossom V is one. I love the idea of Mackie DLZ easy mode. Does Duo have similar features for us beginners? I would say the Rodecaster Pro or the Rodecaster lineup is pretty dumb shit simple. I don't foresee it being difficult for anybody, even a beginner, to get up and running on a Rodecaster Pro. I don't know what the easy mode is with Mackie, so I can't really do a comparison. But I also don't think like the Rodecaster Pro 2 and the Rodecaster lineup is just, they're one button approaches. Like the effects, the everything, it's just so simple. I don't imagine how you can simplify it more. When you're talking about the mixes, you can literally mix by visual. Like just turn something up if it's not quite as loud as the other things. I don't foresee how an easy mix would really put one over the other. What we are seeing though, and this is without me being hands-on with the Mackie, we're seeing competition. We're seeing something that is very, very good for the end user. Is more products coming out that fill the same void, that fill the same need. And I think that's awesome. So whether or not Mackie's going to suit your need, I do think, like, I would have laughed if you'd told me a year ago that Mackie was going to be the only one competing with the Rodecaster Pro 2.
True.
Like,
yeah, seems kind of weird.
We've got the Gigcaster coming in as well. I'm talking to people at Boss to get hands-on with the Gigcaster. They're still waiting on things to clear up with some of their review units, and they're going to be shipping one out. then Boss, I mean, of all things, to have a Gigcaster to take on the Rodecaster. I think it's fascinating, and I think some of this is super niche, but also really cool to see, like, where maybe the Rodecaster Pro falters at being a music interface, something like the Boss Gigcaster will kind of come into play. And they emulate all their pedals with the Gigcaster, eh?
Yeah. That's kind of neat.
Like all of the what is it, the GT 1000, the Boss pedal board?
I've been eyeballing that one for a bit now, actually.
But this has all of that inside the Gigcaster.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So like it's, you know, you don't have you can buy a physical pedal for it though too. Like it's just
you could.
mind blowing. I love all this stuff. Pretty dumb shit simple. What else do we need to know about Rode? Rode is top of the heap right now. That again, haven't looked at the Mackie. Seen the Mackie priced $100 more than the Rodecaster Pro 2 though. Something when I sit down with it needs to go, oh, that's why. Yeah. Otherwise, Rode is still top of the pile. It doesn't make any sense to sell your thing for $100 more without some compelling feature. That's more than just an easy mix, or it has to have something that makes it stand apart. I'm really curious to see it though. And everyone thinks that I'm like anti anything not Rode. No. I'm all for competition. I'm all for whoever to be top of the pile, as long as it's going to be pushing it forward, as long as there's going to be new development, new things to get you excited. And I'll hold all of my opinions until I get hands-on and I can actually go through it and see. In the Pews says, longtime lurker here. Welcome in the Pews. Awesome. Welcome future minions, Midnight Wolf says. Don't give me minions, man. That's evil. I'm not worthy of minions. Especially if they're doing my bidding. That's just weird. Blossom, I don't know anything about EQ gates. I'd love to see if Duo had some sort of automated thing for beginners. They do. It's literally like you start it up and everything's set up and you can tweak it mildly, like, and they have beginner style of interface for doing EQ and compression and all that. And then they have an advanced, which lets you dip your toe in and reset it if you step a little too far. By the way, I'm still a little sick, so be patient with me. I've had a flu for like 2 weeks now. Johnny, the easy mode is geared to the non-technical and walks you through the setup just to get you recording, streaming with basic settings. I like to think Rode does that as well. Again, though, I'll save all of my opinions. Geek Gauntlet Podcast, how's she going? In the Pews, we've used a PodTrack P4 on podcasts and even music sessions. Still the best for ultra-tight budgets. Maybe when we have more cash, we can justify the upgrade. Yeah, and that's the thing. With the Rodecaster Duo out, this, by the way, in case you're tuning in just to kind of see first impressions of the Duo, this thing is adorable, and it's literally to spec with the Rodecaster Pro 2. With this thing coming in at $500 US, there is still that market that Zoom seems to own below that for the not even like cheap. Like the P4 has a lot of usability for what it is. It gives you 4 inputs. It gives you the ability to do mix minus on phone calls, all that stuff. It just doesn't have those bells and whistles. So the P4 is still uber powerful for what it is and for the price you get it for. And I don't see Rode knocking the P4 off anytime soon, unless they like a super stripped down version of the Rodecaster Pro 2. I don't see it happening. But I also don't see the Rode's out of that market. They're not in that super cheap market anymore. So Geek Gauntlet, guys, should I sell my Rodecaster Pro 2 and get the Duo? So if you bought a Rodecaster Pro 2 at the same time thinking, my God, this is overkill. I mean, sure. It's only $200 less US. You're going to lose money on it. So you're going to lose money reselling your Rodecaster Pro 2. So I'd say no. I'd just keep with the Rodecaster Pro 2. If you like the latest and best, sure, why not? But I mean, for me, this is the ultimate thing. The Rodecaster Duo. I've never used Channel 4 on my Rodecaster Pro. I've never used the 4th input whatsoever. it's just kind of sat there. I've never even had to like gain up the little fader ever. So for me, the Rodecaster Duo is a perfect setup for what I'm doing. And most of the time I only have 2 microphones on me at once. So yeah. By the way, guys, we're going to be missing a lot of the comments here. If you really desperately want to get a question answered, I appreciate everybody. We usually go comment to comment on this live stream. But just tag me at Dark Corner Studios and I will see it and I'll make sure I get to it. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of pop around and see kind of what kind of pops out to me. Good to know Duo is beginner friendly. I'm Aussie, love to support local products. Yeah. All of Rode's stuff is like big button, kind of very, very easy, simple concepts. If Zoom could just get their head out of their ass with crappy headphone outputs, and I mean all of their devices, yeah, it's not just their headphones. Their preamps are still on par. Like even the P4 preamps are a little worse than the original Rodecaster Pro, and the original Rodecaster Pro did not have good preamps. So yeah, Zoom needs to up their game. They need to get somebody creating preamps for them. Like reach out to somebody to like, hey guys, could you do a few for us? I think it would really work for them. Dark Corner Studios, how does the Vocaster 2 compare to the Duo? The Vocaster 2 isn't even in the same conversation. And I actually I'm planning on talking about that in the video. Mixer versus an interface, essentially. If you don't need a mixer, if you don't want all the usability, all of the Rode ecosystem, as it were, like Rode has completely built out their ecosystem. They've got Aphex processing, which still to this point is unrivaled. Like Aphex processing is the best built-in DSP processing at this price point. You're not going to find better. The Vocaster 2 fits a cheaper two-person podcast that has a little bit of stuff to play around with, but you're not going full in. I feel as though if you can't afford the Rodecaster Duo, the Vocaster is a fine choice. It's a great interface. It's just not a mixer. If people want a mixer, if people want all of the ability to route all of their audio, to route all of their outputs, the Rode lineup is just, you can't go wrong without it.
It's so funny, as you're talking about this, you know what I'm thinking about?
What's that?
I'm thinking about how complicated recording studios are in their wiring.
Right.
And sometimes how unnecessarily complicated. There, I said it. Because I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, so an interface is multiple things, right? Yeah. An interface is converters. An interface is DSP processing. An interface is microphone preamps, is a routing matrix. An interface can be a headphone preamp. An interface can be a monitor preamps. Even a modern mixers. And when I think of studios, how each one of those things is either separate single or multiple mounted things. And could you totally record something awesome on an interface? Yeah. And could it rival, at least in most situations, the kind of stuff that big multi-million-dollar studios can do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to use and it fosters creativity more than sitting there with 80 patch bay cables and wiring stuff into each other for an hour.
Well, and that's, it's fascinating when you see from a music production perspective, you can do an album in your basement. You can do an album in your bedroom. And, little things like this, a lot of people go, oh, it's overpriced. Dude, the idea that for $500 you can get all this in an interface that's the interface that I use is $3,000. So don't talk to me about overpriced. Okay, it is
for what it is and for what it allows you to do, which is basically limitless in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's a reasonable price point.
Yeah,
my opinion. All right, nobody else. That's just my opinion.
And it's also no one else is doing this, so it's the only one on the market. You're not going. There's no other mixers, no other 2-input mixers that have the breadth of possibilities as the Rodecaster Duo has on the market. There's no other opportunity for you to get what they have here in the Rodecaster Duo. They can set whatever the bloody price they want. You're lucky that they didn't set it super high. Like, and that's the thing, right? Like, how many times do you see a product come out and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to afford that. Look at the Apple, one of those goggles they just released, the AR goggles. They're $3,500 US. And you're telling me a $500 Rodecaster Duo is expensive. It's the research and development.
But look what people spend on a smartphone. People will not even think and drop $2,000 on the latest iPhone. No problem. But yet, heaven forbid, a business tool that can make you a ton of money. Heaven forbid that costs like $500. Oh my God, that's so expensive.
Foldables, especially, like they're upwards of $2,000. Midnight Wolf says mixers for me is easier than an interface like the Focusrite for me, but I come from a live background. Yeah, I used to be hardcore mixer, but then I realized this was back in 2016 when I'm like, if you want to get a mixer that does at the time, if you wanted multi-track capability without doing the ASIO for all drivers, if you wanted decent preamps, if you wanted all this stuff, you were paying over $1,000 just for a mixer interface. And now that stuff's standard. Like all of that is standard from 2016 to now. I remember the first mixer I bought kind of when I was like plowing back into doing audio was a Mackie Pro FX 12 V2. I have the review on this channel. And I think it's like a 24-minute like bumbling review of this interface. But it didn't have any multi-track capability. So it was a 12-track mixer that came out as a 2 stereo, like as just a stereo signal. And that was problematic for me. I wanted to be able to record multi-track without going the ASIO for all road. So since then, we now have, by the way, that mixer was, I think about $400 US when I bought it. Now for $500 US, you get a Rodecaster Duo, and a couple $100 more, you get a Rodecaster Pro 2. Things like multi-track are just expected now. Like can you buy an interface that doesn't have multi-track capability outside of the Mackie lineup, which I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, most interfaces at least have like expandable multi-track, like because there are like single channel interfaces or like standard dual channel, like a duet style interface. But by and large, a lot of these will still have like ADAT light pipe inputs, or like AES EBU, XLR or stereo inputs. Like there's still a lot of that. Expandability, I think, is pretty standard. Even looking at Audient, their ID22 interface, which is a pretty tiny little fella, that's got expandability. You can expand that up to 18 channels if you want to.
That's amazing. Blossom, yes, the Duo is easy to set up for beginners. You plug it in. So on the back of all Rodecaster devices, you have an Ethernet. If you can plug this in via Ethernet and turn it on, it will prompt you to update it immediately. However, if you don't have an Ethernet connection and you can hook it up through Wi-Fi, you go in through the settings, set up or turn on the Wi-Fi. It will update immediately, and as soon as you're done that, plug in, you download the drivers off of the Rode website, and you're good to go. That's the Rode multi-track drivers if you want to record multi-track, and then you're good to go. It does, you plug it in and go. It's that easy. It's not, I don't know, it's been a while since, I think the hardest thing I've set up recently was the Scarlett 2i2, where the drivers come in the Scarlett, and you've got to go into the Scarlett like it's a drive and extract the stuff out of it. Everything nowadays is just plug and play. How are we
I feel like
this?
there was a product recently that I came across that had that still did the like, oh, it's a thumb drive in a box.
Oh,
really?
It's so annoying, man.
It's like, oh, welcome back to like the early 2000s. Like, oh my God.
Blossom says, thank you. By the way, love your channel. New fan here. You're welcome. Zerafail, how are you guys live streaming this? The usual way we do, just we had some issues at the beginning. Are you wondering how I'm live streaming the Duel? I checked with Rode. They said I'm allowed to. They said I'm allowed to talk about it. I just received the thing last night. So, nice. And I before I said anything, before I put any pictures out, no, I got it 2 days ago. I sent him an email saying, hey guys, I got this. Am I allowed to talk about it? And they said, yeah, we're good to go. So, I think we're kind of caught up here. Darren Land. I don't think I've seen you before, Darren Land. Welcome to the stream. Tascam Model 12 is a nice mixer interface with 12-track recording. Yeah, Tascam has some decent stuff. I'm not a big fan of their preamps. They were a little noisy. I haven't tried the Tascam Model 12 though. It's just, to me, I'm an older guy. Dylan, I think you're 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, probably about there.
I'm used to, back in the 90s when I went to record just guitar, you had to get reel to reel. There was no digital recording at the time. They had digital tape recording, if I recall. That was like a brand new thing.
Oh, like Dash, or probably like the VH, like ADAT, I imagine.
Yeah, I can't even remember because I couldn't afford it.
Old DAT tapes.
Yeah, I couldn't afford it. Like, it was ridiculously expensive. So we had like a 4-track recorder. We had the reel to reel. To me, the idea that you can, like, even a Tascam 12 channel, that you can buy something like that for under $1,000 and record a full band. 12 channels, man. Record a full band easily for under $1,000 blows my mind. I don't know how we don't have an explosion of creativity. I would have killed for that when I was, 15? That blows my mind.
We do have an explosion in creativity. What we don't have is an explosion of marketing. That's the problem, is a lot of this great stuff just goes into the abyss, and people do the whole, if they build it, they will come. If I build it, they will come. No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You got to push. You got to carve out a place in the marketplace for yourself. That's how, like, you don't just put out stuff. So there's lots of stuff. I mean, look, we were both in college on CKDJ, right? They played all local music all the time. There's actually some good stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes that I heard. There's a lot of crap, but there's some good stuff that I heard on that station, and it's like none of it ever goes anywhere.
Ottawa's new music.
Yeah.
Blossom, the review of the duo will be out Monday, provided there's no hiccups. So far, like I said, the ease of doing this review is it's a Rodecaster Pro product. So, like, they didn't rewrite anything with this. It's not built different. It is built different in the sense that it's smaller, but like, they don't have different preamps in it. I'm not reviewing the preamps again. I'm not reviewing the UI because the UI is the same. There's a couple little creature comforts that they have, like the headphone jack at the front. I'm going to check to see if that's an input as well before I finish the review. But for the most part, the review is pretty easy to run around. How far away do you think we are from a 32-bit Rodecaster? I got this complaint. So, Dylan, wait for this. That was from Rick on Mike. I got a message about the pod mic. Don't have it. It's over there. I got a message about the pod mic saying that this was garbage. How could they release the pod mic with old tech? They released the pod mic as old tech, Dylan, because it was only 24-bit. How could you release a product only 24-bit, Dylan? And I was just like, I don't understand where people are coming from. Now, 32-bit is cool. Most people don't even know how to use 32-bit because a lot of people still think 32-bit works for streaming. And it doesn't. 32-bit does not work for streaming. 32-bit is just headroom, meaning if you peak, you can just kind of turn it down in post-production and you still have the information.
Okay, so I think we need to talk about something in context. So what the hell is bit depth, right?
Yes.
And why is bit depth important? And so this is really important to understand why 32-bit interfaces are not really that big a deal.
No.
And so brief history lesson on why different bit depths exist. So in digital audio, in Nyquist audio, which is digital audio, there is something called bit quantization, which is where you basically, so let's say you have a 2-bit audio signal. That will give you 4 possible values between infinitely quiet and loud as possible, right? 4 levels, meaning that you're not going to have a sine wave that looks like that. You're going to have a it's going to look like Tetris.
Yeah.
And so we add bits to a signal to reduce, and usually involves some dithering, especially in like 16-bit or below levels, which is just a little bit of noise on the signal to prevent some of that bit quantization from creating weird artifacts. So 24-bit for the longest time has been the standard. Now, some would say that 32-bit fixed point, right? And so when we're talking about 32-bit in the context of interfaces, let's be clear, we're not talking about 32-bit fixed point. We're talking about something that's called 32-bit floating point, which means the interface records 24 bits in terms of quantization values, but it'll add sort of an extra 8 bits of headroom.
Yes.
So that if you clip the pre's, which will still distort to some degree, but it won't be as ugly as if you clip the converters, it will not clip your converters. It gives you some analog breathing room
Yes.
before you hit that brick wall. But the thing is, the actual bit values, mathematically speaking, are still going to be 24 bits worth of dynamic range. The only difference is that we're adding some extra headroom so that you can have like plus dBFS values essentially. But you know, the day that somebody comes out, and I know these do exist in audiophile circles, but 32-bit fixed point interfaces. In fact, I saw a 64-bit fixed point interface. Ooh. There's a doozy.
Files are going to be like video files.
But those are all completely rare, like very, very rare things. And so in this context, 32-bit, if you don't know how to gain stage your signal properly, it will bring some value to you. Here's the problem, though. It's not going to prevent you from clipping.
No.
It's going to prevent you from clipping the converters, which means that you won't hit 0 dBFS and hit a brick wall. But that doesn't account for clipping that happens when the preamp gets overloaded. That doesn't happen any other sort of analog processing phases that might be in the interface. It doesn't count for any of that. That stuff, if you overdrive the pre, it's still going to clip to shit.
Yeah.
So, do not be deterred by 32-bit as this big, big, massive mammoth of a thing, because it's not. At least not in the context of interfaces. It's marketing buzz. That's it.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's kind of the buzz of the summer. This is 2023, the new thing that everyone's like, oh my God, it's not even 32-bit. And this is what, like, I was looking at the pod mic and I'm like, if you're a podcaster and you're not gain staging properly, we have a lot of people out here that are just like, I just want one button approach. I just want to hit a record and be done. Well, you still have to check your levels. If someone's screaming, you still have to turn it down. You still have to deal with all this stuff. If you need 32-bit as like something to catch you when you fall, you're doing audio wrong. 32-bit is great in a pinch when it's like, oh shit. That one time I got a little too close to the mic, I peaked. It's all distorted. The take is ruined. We're not going to be able to use it anymore. By the way, I just sat back and crossed my arms while you went on a rant. It was delightful.
It's fair.
Thank you for that.
No, but it's something that's been a pet peeve of mine ever since that this whole 32-bit floating point interface thing really started to become the latest fad in interfaces. And again, so just clarify, it's not a bad thing.
No.
To have 32-bit. It's just not necessarily something you should actively seek out. I would say that you would be better off investing in a 24-bit interface, learning how to gain stage, because that skill will carry you very far.
And
just learning how to gain stage your signal properly.
It's not hard to gain stage if it's just 4 mics. You're just making sure, like, okay, guys, what's the loudest you're going to be? Okay, all right, so we're going to bring that down. There we go. We've gained stage. Also, it won't help you live. I think and I don't need to explain further. It's not a live application. 32-bit float doesn't magically save you from peaking when you scream and throw your mouse at the wall. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah, so by the way, I don't think, Rick, that Rode is going down. I think Rode has gotten I think Rode has learned that going the 32-bit route isn't going to be the next sales feature. With the NT1 coming out with 32-bit on it was a nice little nod to it. The unclippable mic, they called it. And I think they kind of left it at that, and that was fine. 32-bit, most people don't even have the ability to record They can record with it,
That's
but
a whole other problem.
yeah,
Like most of the places even if it was a 32-bit fixed point interface or a 24-bit fixed point interface for that matter, most of your distribution points are going to be 16-bit.
mm-hmm.
That's reality. And so
Yeah.
investing in that's kind of like recording everything at 192K and then burning a CD out of it. Like that's pointless. That's literally pointless.
Yeah.
Now some would say, "Oh, what about an HD CD?" Like, shut up.
Yeah, because all the people that have those.
Yeah,
Those
well,
HD
that's like, but there's,
players.
it's you've been on Gear, whatever the hell it's called now.
Gear Space.
Gear Space.
Yeah.
You've seen. There's always the one guy. There's always the one guy that's, oh well, actually, there's also. We're talking about 99% of use cases here, dingle nuts.
See,
Like, get out of here.
and I think it was Liberty Dude when I was talking about how how you can go into a lot of audio spaces that are really, really like nasty. Audio, the snobbiness in a lot of audio gear spots. Gear Spaces is probably one of the worst I've ever been in. Like there's a lot of helpful people in Gear Space. I think it's called Gear Space, right?
Yes, now it is. Yeah.
Okay. That place, there's a lot of really helpful people. There's also a lot of real like stodgy, old guard. It's ridiculous. And I remember,
and I think what you hit on earlier, this 32-bit philosophy is just it's another rung in the ladder to oversimplify the job.
yeah,
And the job is producing a podcast or some kind of live content, and you're never going to make that, at least not in my lifetime, a completely automated process. There is
No.
going to be some technical involvement, and to try and eliminate that, there's too much risk in that for me. Trying to eliminate all of those sort of technical points, and basically be like, "Oh, press a button and it's good to go." I think. Yeah, like someone's here, like Jay is saying, if I were recording live bands, I would definitely want 32-bit. Any one-time only sounds, 100%. 32-bit is a great safety net. That said, if you get too comfortable with it and you use it as a crutch, you're clipping your pre's.
yeah,
And then you've got better distortion and more manageable distortion, maybe, especially if they're good pre's. But if they're in an interface, they're probably not. So
Yeah.
if they clip, they're going to sound, again, a hair better than if you're clipping the converters.
yeah. In the pews, our pod track is 16-bit. We haven't had any huge issues as long as we set our gain properly. Yeah, the only issues you're going to have with 16-bit is when you're quiet, like quiet sound sources are going to be mildly problematic when you're gaining them up. Other than that, though, you like.
Well, and this is something important to note with bit depths too. Very quickly is especially when something's low like 16-bit. So the scale so picture an audio meter in your head. The scale of where those dynamic levels are is logarithmic, which means there are more finite dynamics values closer to that sort of -18 dB mark than there are like really, really quiet. So if you're recording something way too quiet, like let's say your signal is at -80 dBFS, you're not going to get a great dynamic representation down there if you're at 16-bit, whereas 24-bit, that becomes a little more manageable. Don't do that. It's a stupid thing to do to record your main signal at that level. But so there's not equal spacing between all of the dynamics levels through the sort of the binary range of a 16-bit or 24-bit signal.
Yeah. Midnight Wolf, be a karaoke presenter. You'll learn to gain stage really quick. Yeah. No, I can imagine. Andrew, audio is going to be 32-bit, whilst there's lots of nostalgia for 8-bit, like Minecraft, resulting in $1 billion brands. Guess an LP is much the same. And yeah, like, I mean, when it comes to the new thing in audio, we are kind of reaching this cap, right? Where for under $1,000 brands, and I think that's important to point out because you get into like the Apollo brands, you get into this where your preamps are, adding depth to your sound, where it's not just crystal clear. Maybe it's a warmer sound you're looking for. Maybe it's this. In the under $1,000 brands, we're kind of reaching a cap of what we can put into this. And I think that's why 32-bit float is becoming the hot term, because what else can you do? There is a maximum EIN that you can have. Like you can't get any better than what it pretty much is already. Neg 130, Neg 128 is perfectly fine. Like it's perfectly fine. So what is the next thing, right? What is the next buzzword for audio interfaces that are under $1,000 as we get cheaper? Multi-track used to be a big one. This thing is a multi-track. What's the next thing? I don't know, and I think it's kind of stupid that we're already into 32-bit as being a selling point. And because people have heard that it's the next thing, everyone's like, well, why isn't it on everything? Why isn't that microphone? Microphones aren't 32-bit. Microphones are not. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay, all right, cool. Microphone's 32-bit. Yay.
Well, no, again, it's kind of like, it's like the nutrition world, right? Like, oh, gluten-free, great buzzword. You know what's gluten-free? Lead. You know what else is gluten-free? Uranium. Like it's a buzzword.
Less
I mean, a lot of times there's lots of stuff that's naturally gluten-free, but they'll put the word on it anyway because they know people are buying and they're scanning for that word.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like where we can go with all this. Not sure the love of 8-bit video translates to 8-bit audio. Ugh, 8-bit video.
No.
Oh, that'd be horrible. Let's put
Yeah,
LEDs on everything now.
shitty washed out color I can handle. Really gross quantized audio I cannot handle.
Yeah, and I forget who I was talking to. So I got the wireless me in, and I've got a review coming. By the way, this is also, excuse me, something I wanted to talk about before I have to go. I'm taking August off. I'm literally taking all of August off. I have videos planned. Here's the thing. One of the reasons I stopped doing the Wednesday videos is because I'm also doing podcast editing. I've got a lot on my plate right now. I've got gear coming in. This month of Rode, like with the Rodecaster Duo, kind of took me by surprise. Not surprised, but I didn't think it was going to be as in-depth and overwhelming as it was. So I started to plan forward because I'm starting to make mistakes. I implemented a new system of editing where I've got the new assets and I'm trying to implement that. That has been really frustrating because it's a whole new flow and I'm trying to relearn an edit process for it. And consequently, I am making mistakes. In the last video, I forgot one of my segues. One of my segues just wasn't there. You can see me wiping my nose and going for the teleprompter. And I need time off. But I'm going to have videos ready for that time off. I'm working forward already. I've got some videos in the queue, and I'm going to be getting even more in the queue so I can just be done in August and just kind of put my feet up, go on a vacation. We're going to Europe. And then when I come back, I can kind of ease back into it. Really looking forward to that. And I forget why I was talking about this, but I've been going a little hardcore with getting videos done and getting videos out. So I just want everyone to know that come August, we're not going to do any live streams for the month. Dylan actually hasn't heard this yet either. So this is a new one for Dylan. August is literally going to be a month of relaxation and get
That's
stuff.
good. It's good to take some time. It's always good to take some time.
Yeah, it's not even a burnout thing because I'm just
but it's you're avoiding getting to that point, right? I mean, that's the whole. You don't have to. And this is a good, I don't know, PSA for anyone out there who's in this hustle culture mentality. Do not wait until you are burnt out to decide to take a break.
No.
Take a break when you can, because when you get to that point where you're burnt out and you take a break because of that, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And it might come at a really, really not strategic time. So take time when you can afford to take time, and don't wait for you to burn out. I've done it. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. And it's fascinating too, because I see certain signs where I'm a little bit overworked. This has become my full-time job. This has become kind of the thing that it's not necessarily paying like a full-time job, but I have a very lovely wife. But this is one of those things that I need to make sure that I can build it to a certain point. And to build it to a certain point, I have to make sure I'm crossing my T's, dotting my I's. And you see that lurking in the background where you're like, another video. And I've been trying, you guys have noticed, like the videos, I'm trying to not do the this is an interface. Here's how you use it. Boop, boop, boop. I'm trying
Yeah.
to add creativity to my content. I don't want it to get stale because it's not necessarily the viewing process that I'm worried about getting stale. It's me. It's my mental health. Only so many microphones that you can hold up and go, this is the SM58. I like the SM58.
I want to draw attention to Super Z
57,
Dog for a second. Just tuning in. Hey, how are you? 2 questions, complete opposite scopes. What do you think of the duo? Fair question. Also, how about AI integration in music? I'm like, oh boy, there's a can of worms. Holy shit.
So the duo was awesome. Wait for the review. I can't give anything away. The Rodecaster duo is fantastic. AI integration in music, I think it's awesome. I think AI's kind of been working towards being part of music for the past few years, especially with plugins and stuff like that. As for AI writing its own music, I won't go see him live, but
Well,
I'm
so
sure
I will say AI integration in music production. I've used some of these tools, some of them even that are still in beta technically. And we're a ways away from this being like a widespreadly useful tool. I'm not worried about it replacing my job because I know AI doesn't have a great understanding of human subjectivity. So things like art that are inherently subjective, AI is like freewheeling. It's kind of hard, and we've seen it. We've seen AI try to generate commercials. It doesn't go well. We've seen AI try to write books. It just takes snippets of other people's books. So, I think eventually there are some components of my job that will get a lot easier because of AI, but I'm not immediately concerned that the tools are going to replace exactly what it is that I do.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about AI taking over your job, maybe pick a different job.
Yeah.
Or again, just think about, do some research and do some testing with AI. And what you'll quickly find is AI, again, it's still, we're on the cusp. We're not quite there yet. AI is useful for things like conceptualization. We use ChatGPT for that a lot.
Yep.
And even now we're trying to use AI to run a radio station, Radio GPT, and that's we're learning a lot of things through that process.
Yeah.
So yeah, AI integration in music, I think it definitely opens a new frontier. I think it opens a new dimension of creativity for writing a song, for coming up with a hook. There's a lot of use there. I'm not worried about it though.
Yeah, no, and there's no reason about being worried about something that's not here yet. Midnight Wolf, then review more supercardioid pattern stuff. Yeah, you know what? Bring in I've tried to think of ways to incorporate supercardioid man in videos differently than him just running past the screen. I'm working on it. He'll have his own series where he reviews a mic. By the way, SM57 review with the AWCS or A2WS, the presidential screen that they use, the pop filter. I do have a review coming for that, by the way. Blossom, your videos are very entertaining, never boring. Thank you. And that's what I'm trying to do. I appreciate that. That's what I love to hear. Do you, in the pews, do what you have to take care of yourself. You don't owe us anything. I don't feel like I owe you guys anything. I just feel like there comes a point where I'm balancing making money, doing this. This does make money, but it doesn't make as much. So I have other things that I do to make money. And it's balancing that, making sure that I'm still not creating content for the sake of getting content out, that I'm creating content for the sake of because I want to do that content. And I think it's something that you guys will like and have fun with it at the same time. So, Nalanka, this is the last one, and we're going to cut so I can go make some chicken. Could you walk through your StreamerX setup, audio setup for live streaming, please? Mine gives me a hissing sound, makes me think I'm raising the noise floor. If you've got a hissing sound on your StreamerX, the setup is literal. It's about as simple as any other Rode setup. I would say that I would look at your microphone or your XLR connection for your mic. I don't imagine anywhere where a hissing sound would be coming from unless it's something faulty. Possibly the StreamerX itself, but try another XLR cable. You shouldn't have hiss depending on the microphone you're using, obviously. But even this has got 76 dB of gain. You should have zero hiss on this thing. They're pretty quiet preamps as well. The other option is that hissing sound might be your background. So if your microphone's pointing in a direction of like a computer or something, you might hear the computer in the background. So just keep that in mind. And Steve, always fun watching, listening to you too. Thanks. Cheers, guys. That's it for us. I'm going to get out of here. Dylan, we're going to have to save your story about how you got injured for next week.
Yep.
It's a classic. It's a
It's
classic.
a classic for Ottawa. It's not just a classic. It's a classic for
Classic
Ottawa.
for Ottawa there, bud. Thank you for
Yeah.
everybody that's tuned in. Wow, we had like a record turnout, 36 people. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Have yourself a great week. We will be back next Friday. I also say the duo review, barring anything weird happening, will be out come Monday. I'm going to spend the whole weekend doing it. So have yourself a great day, guys. We'll see